Hello, my name is Angela Haynes, and I'm here to talk to you today about something called Understanding by Design. Understanding by Design is a theory that you can use to help you plan lessons within your classroom. The first part of Understanding by Design is identifying desired results. I will go into how to break that down in one moment, but I just wanted to let you know that throughout this presentation, I will be referring to Understanding by Design as UBD. So, very nice to meet you. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and let's get started. Well, as I stated before, Stage 1 of UBD is identifying desired results. The template you see in front of you helps break down how to create units using Understanding by Design. In the first part, desired results, you use this information to create your course. You fill in all of these information text boxes to put in what you would want to teach your class, whatever the day is that you're working on. So you would put in your subject or your discipline in the first box, your class name and number, how long it will take to teach that lesson, the grade level that you're using to teach that for, any keywords that you might want to use to help remind you what you're talking about, any organization or name of the school goes in here. Then you have a type of school, whether you have a public school, a private school, or a charter school, what textbooks you use for your class, and then links to online resource material. And then you break it down starting with your unit. You put in your unit title, how long your unit is going to take, and where the unit fits into the class. As we move down a little bit more on the template, you see how the unit is going to be delivered. For those of you that have online classes only, it gives you the choice for online. Face-to-face is also a choice, or blended, which is a mixture of both. Then it asks you about course design and why you're designing this course, what time frame it takes to teach it, and what level of expertise do you have in teaching the information here in this course. Then we move down to the unit summary. And here you give an overview of the unit in your own words. This is where you put a big idea. Whatever it is that the main idea is that you want to be using for what you're teaching goes right here in the very first box. Then as we move down a little, you talk about different professional organizations here that might be doing some sort of accreditation for the school or the organization that you're teaching this unit for. Most schools and organizations have accrediting bodies that do accrediting for them probably every 4 or 5 years. And when they do these accrediting tests for your class or for your school, they always have standards that go along with them. And all on this UBD document, all of your ideas need to match up with the standards of your accrediting organization. So this tells you the name of the organization that will be your accreditor and the URL to the website that the accrediting organization is associated with. And then if you have competencies, you would put that information here in this text box. And then as we move down a little more, you actually take the standards and competencies from this organization up here and you begin putting them in these boxes. Any of the standards and competencies that relate to the unit that you're teaching will be going into these boxes. So you would put the standard or competency code here, and then you would put a description over here of what that would relate to. So when we're looking at this UBD document, there are a bunch of different ways that this is broken down. And there are a lot of different things that are referred to here. And in this instance, we're referring to something called transfer. And transfer is referring to what kinds of independent accomplishments do you desire. This means at the very end of this unit, what is it that you would want the student to be doing independently without you as a teacher? Whatever those things are that you would want the student to do independently without you would be put in these boxes. So you would put the competency information over here, and then you would put in the information of what you would want the student to know in these boxes where the text is. As we scoot down a little bit in the document, we come to a section called meaning. And when we are talking about meaning, we're talking about students making meaning when they have a new insight or make a useful realization that they make sense from a prior experience. We call these aha moments. These are moments when students finally understand something, and you see them working through these things, and then they finally get it. They break down these big ideas that you have. And so that's where we're going to put these essential questions, these things from the meaning section here. And essential questions you would want to put in are questions that don't just have a yes or no answer. Essential questions are going to be things like, what does it mean to have a true friend? That doesn't have a yes or no answer. The description of that is in depth, and it varies depending on the person that might be answering the question. So that's what an essential question would be. So you're going to put those right here in these boxes. Then when we go down a little farther, we're having understandings. And understandings are just specifically what you want your students to understand. So something like a question of how real and pressing is global warming? Here, what do you specifically want your students to understand to answer this question? So this is things that they already know, that they've already learned, so that they can answer whatever the essential question is that you're asking. So it relates to essential questions because they have to know some background from previous things that they've learned to understand how to answer these essential questions that you will be asking them. So all of these understandings that they should already have need to go in these understanding boxes. Acquisition is what facts and concepts should a student know and be able to recall. So acquisition is just basically the things that a student knows already, the things that a student already understands. So when we get into knowledge here in this box, knowledge is referring to things like what's the big idea, things dealing with are there many layers that aren't obvious to inexperienced learners, things that are prone to disagreement. Those are the kind of things that you want to be in the knowledge section. And then as we move down a little farther under the skills section, skills are just basically the skills that students should already have to be able to use to figure out how to answer these questions. So skills such as listening and understanding with empathy, thinking about the way that you think, questioning and problem solving, gathering data through all of your senses, finding humor in things, and thinking independently are all skills that students may have, and those would be the type of things that you would be putting in these skills boxes. So thank you very much for listening to this presentation about Understanding by Design. This is the first part of Understanding by Design, Unit 1, and I will be discussing Section 2 and Section 3 later on, but for right now, we're going to stop here.